Lately, Wizards has been printing a lot of Panharmonicon effects into new Magic sets. The most recent one is Felix Five Boots, which Shivam, if you don't follow him on Twitter, he's a prolific poster of Magic content. He both loves the name of the card and also wishes it was not a Panharmonicon. So um, I half agree with that. The name is awesome. The Panharmonicon issue that he and many other people have with this with this design space is that they think that Panharmonicon designs are a little bit generic and a little bit too easy, maybe. I sort of see where they're coming from. If you look at a card like Roaming Throne right here, like this, and I mentioned it in the Ward video, Roaming Throne is it's just like such an open-ended design. Not just open-ended, but it's such a card that can go in any deck because it fits with any commander with any triggered ability, not to mention typal kindred decks, that I could see why people have an issue with a Roaming Throne type of card. The newest one, besides Felix Five Boots, is Annie Joins Up. And this is Roaming Throne on a Naya-colored enchantment and with another ability tacked on. A little bit similar, kind of, with Legendary Roaming Throne. But Roaming Throne is like the ultimate example of like, they probably shouldn't have printed the card as is. They probably should have fixed something on there to make it less like ubiquitous. But the question is, are there too many Panharmonicons being produced these days? In the past year or so, there have been 10 cards, 11 with Felix Five Boots, with Panharmonicon-esque effects. And what is Panharmonicon? I should probably post the clip here. Oh, here we go. Panharmonicon. This is the OG. If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And there are variations on Panharmonicon. It's not all artifacts or creatures. You have Roaming Throne, which is creature type. You have Harmonic Prodigy, which is other creature type. Ancient Green Warden is lands. Teysa Karlov is death triggers. You have instant sorceries with Varen. You have attack trigger with Ishin and Wolfgar, etc., etc. Down you go. So the question is this a design space that should be used sparingly? And I'm not so sure about that. I think this is a fun design space as long as they don't push it as far as they pushed Roaming Throne. Roaming Throne is the boogeyman here. Annie Joins Up, I think, is fine because it's color intensive. It's Naya colors. You're not automatically going to play it in every Naya deck because, yes, it works with your commander every time, and it deals 5 damage. So you'll play it in a lot of Naya decks. You'll play it in a good percentage, but not all of them. You know, some commanders might not have a triggered ability, or it might not be really worth copying, or maybe you don't want the 4-mana, maybe your 4-mana slot is full, etc. Roaming Throne, you can put in almost any deck. This card it's like Arcane Signet levels of ubiquity. So the Panharmonicon effects, I think we are not yet saturated with these. It seems like we are because they printed a lot lately. I think they've been diving into this space because it's, on the one hand, it's more interesting than do a thing, draw a card. That's a little bit played out at this point. I think even I agree that that's a little bit played out. Commander's Quarters, you know, he'll complain about that every time. You know, it's like do a thing, draw a card. He also was not a fan of the once per turn type of thing, and that's fair. But Panharmonicons, I think, they're still getting there. They're still getting to a point where it's not oversaturated. This is an example of, like, Panharmonicons can either be narrow or open-ended. So here's the open-ended. Atraxa Praetor's Voice. This is the most played commander of all time, past 2 years, but also of all time. And this is open-ended design right here. Beginning of your end step, proliferate. You can do lots of different things with lots of different counters with Atraxa. 4 different colors, tons of different ways to build the deck. Narrower is Miram Sentinel Worm. This is it copies your dragon tokens, and you can do interesting things with clones and changelings and stuff, but it's a little bit more narrow. Lathril is even more narrow with elves. Ishin is the Panharmonicon example here, where it's probably even more narrow than those in that you want attack triggers. And I've tried to build an Ishin deck. It's surprisingly tricky, and I'm surprised that it's this high up on the list. But this just proves the point. People love additional triggers, and Atraxa is essentially a Panharmonicon, but with proliferate. If you think about it, it's kind of like Panharmonicon. Doubling Season is kind of like Panharmonicon. Anytime where you're incrementing or doubling a thing that you're already doing, it's kind of like Panharmonicon. You could say it's like everything is kicker. That's the meme, right? Spree is kicker. Everything's kicker. Separate topic. But my point is that the number of Panharmonicons we have, I think, are okay. I think they should avoid roaming throne type of designs for the most part. This is too ubiquitous, and go more towards Obeka Splitter of Seconds. This is a really fun looking commander design. Now, time will tell if this proves to be, too dirtily, too spinning your wheels. We'll see if people end up doing that. But this is an interesting design in that it lets you get additional triggers, but you have to deal combat damage with Obeka, and it's upkeep steps. So you're playing much more narrow cards in that deck. And so I'd like to see more designs like this. Also, you'll notice she lacks ward. There's no ward on this card, so people are upset about ward. There's no ward here, so this is a very good card design. And if we get more cards like this, then I think we'll be in a good spot. Do we have too many Panharmonicons? I'd say not yet, with the exception of Roaming Throne. And that's all I got for this video.